to present to you Daniel Starr, like his name, he is a star, from Pitango. It's a VC, an Israeli VC, very, very active in Poland and neighboring countries. And Daniel is going to speak with us today about raising capital and pitching, which is extremely relevant. And so Daniel, the floor is yours.
Okay, so glad to be here. Hello, everybody. Let me share the screen. I am actually connecting from sunny Tel Aviv. Actually, it's too hot here. And really looking forward to going to a little bit cooler weather soon as we can, as soon as we can fly again and no lockdowns and things like that, hopefully in the future. I'm here to talk about, let me share the screen. Let's see how I do this. Just a quick second. Yeah, there you go. Share. Yeah.
Rega. Shalom, Daniel. Hi.
Hi.
How are you, Zetal?
Hi.
I'm sure no one took a photo before we start. Didn't take a photo. So if it's okay for you, if I'm not making too much trouble, if you can just close the presentation, we will make a quick photo because
Sure.
we wanted to have one with you and to share it on social networks, and then
sure.
Perfect. Okay, guys, please open your cameras. Probably we'll have more people coming. I know most of you have missed Daniel as well as me. Daniel, you're feeling okay? Eyes, everything is okay?
Yep.
Perfect. Good. Okay, so I see, feminine side is strong here today. Good. Guys, ladies, please open your cameras. We want to have a quick photo here to thank Daniel before he even gives us his lecture. Anyone? Guys, open. Ladies, please open your camera. It's a quick, thank you, everyone. Okay, we will go 3, 2, 1. Right now, 3, 2, 1. Please smile. Don't be sad. And now, please give Daniel this. Everyone, wake up. Thank you. Brilliant. Daniel, thank you so much. You can go ahead right now.
Okay.
Okay.
So you can hear me, right? So I'm proceeding. Good, excellent. Okay, so I'm going to talk a little bit about startup. How do you interact with venture capital? And a little bit. Hello, there is some noise. Maybe whoever is speaking can go mute. Okay. Shall I go ahead? Okay. Yeah. Okay. All right. So talk a little bit about ourselves, about our funnel, how do we get our deals through and all that, and talk about what's happening with COVID, how it's affecting the investment landscape, the environment, and then talk about what makes a VC, specifically us, tick. What we are looking for when interacting with a startup. What's some, how do you put an investor pitch in place, do's and don'ts, and some. I will leave ample time for Q's and A's. By the way, this presentation will be available through the organizers, so you can, you can get a copy if you want. I mean, I'm okay with that. So, okay, so talk a little bit about our funnel. We made so far, we've been in business mostly in Poland for Polish-born companies since middle of 2017. We made 9 investments. And as you see, we have a very large funnel because the area of Central and Eastern Europe is quite rich in new technologies. There are very, very good companies with advanced technologies that can actually be what I call category leaders. So you see a snapshot of the types of companies that we saw or we see. You see the percentages. So as you see, it's quite varied. It's in all areas of technology, of mainly software, but some hardware, some others. So what we do is we screen a couple of thousands of companies. We need to talk to many, many companies. Then we meet a few hundreds of them because we just select the ones that are closer to our target investment charter. We do diligence on a few dozens, and then we finally invest in a handful. So there is this is the process. Luckily for everybody out here, the area of Central and Eastern Europe has a lot to offer. There is a lot of companies. It's quite attractive for a venture capital with experience like us. And this is actually how we, what's our statistic in grosso modo, okay? So what happened in, by the way, feel free to interrupt with questions, but we will have also some time at the end for, for questions and answers. So what happened in pandemic? The first thing that venture capitals did is to double down and strengthen their own portfolio, make sure that their companies survive. So almost, and we are no exception. What we did is we looked at our companies. We said, which company that we invested will need more money. We didn't want any good company to be left out in the, out in the snow or out in the sun with no support. So we actually initiated some rounds of the companies. We work with the companies to actually get money so that they could have at least 24, if not more, months of oxygen. So they will not be left without the ability to continue doing their work. So this is the first thing we did. So we focused inside for a while. Then we said, okay, when that is done, it took a couple of months. Then we went back to looking outside. And we made investments, and some of them we made online only. We never met face-to-face the people, which is something that was completely unheard of before COVID, before the pandemic. So we did make some investments without actually meeting the people, but actually having some online meetings. So, and throughout this period, there were some interesting adjustments happening. The one thing is that algorithms and deep technology became more and more and more and more important. This is not surprising. This is a world trend, and in our region, it became quite evident. The other thing is everything, everything from remote, from work to health to game to everything that you do from remote. Like, for example, e-games became much, much, much higher used. So the area of esports is quite a focus as well. Digital transformation and automation. You cannot count of people to physically do things in every place. You have to be able to automate more and more and more. And one thing that actually emerged big way is the area of dealing with the environment, with the climate, with social aspects. The area of sustainability, climate change, and the social area became more and more important. So this is, on a macro view of what's happening. It's not unique to our region. This is happening worldwide, and we are no exception, actually. Okay, so if you are thinking of planning of approaching us as a VC, it's good for you to take a note of what we would be looking in your company as our criteria for investments. And we call it the 5 T's that tick, So what are those 5 T's? First, the team. We have to have a team that has the ability to execute, proven technology background, management background, business background, but above all, commitment, experience, diversity, dedication. The team is the #1 factor. When a company comes out, there is one person that has an idea, and he will use some contractors to do something and use some other companies to do something else. It may be a very effective and cost-effective way of doing things, but this is no way to start a company. A company needs a team because that gives I would say the ability to weather the conditions much, much better, and it needs to be varied and diversified. And all the aspects or most aspects of the company need to be represented. This is a very important factor. The second factor is technology, and this is not surprising as well. A company has to have, I would say, we look at a company as like a medieval castle that has a moat, and has like a wall that prevents competition from mimicking or copying or catching up. So the more, and we believe that the most important, one of the most important factors is the technology itself. So we look at a company where the technology is a differentiating factor and hopefully can become, prevent perhaps or delay competition from reaching same positions. So technology is significant and very important. The other important thing is traction. When you go to VCs, most often than not, especially if you are early stage, they will tell you, oh, you're not for us at this point, you're too early, don't have traction. So what does traction mean? People sometimes confuse traction with revenue. Of course, if you have revenue and significant revenue, it proves that you have traction. But traction is actually more, I would say, goes beyond the numbers on a spreadsheet. Traction means that even if you are not currently selling or yet selling, that we can talk to customers or prospective customers, and they will tell us why they think this particular product is worth buying, and at which values, and for what extent, and for how long, and all that. So we don't require companies to have revenue per se. What we are very, very picky in terms of what customers say about this product. Will they buy it? Will they not buy it? And we have, as a fund, we have such a network of experienced people we can use that we can reach a very good conclusion, even though the company does not yet have income in the bank regularly or something like that. So traction is very important. This is the third thing. The fourth thing is obvious, is terms, financial viability. We need to make money for our investors. So there needs to be an exit path. There needs to be some business model that the company has. And for our perspective, we need to be in a position to, at a certain point in time in the future, to be able to sell the company with a profit so that the valuation would appreciate. So the terms are also very important. But if you take all these four that we talked to in perspective, there's one thing that is actually missing, which is I would say the thesis or the theme. So of all the companies that do, I don't know, robotic process automation, why this particular company is the one that we pick to join our portfolio? They could be, 7 companies, 8 companies at a particular point in time that have some similar offerings, or I would say overlapping or related offerings. Why do we pick this particular company? We need to be beyond the 4 T's, the team, the technology, the traction, and the terms. We need to believe that there is a vision here. There is a theme that this company can become one day, either it's already or can become one day a category definer or a category leader. So, we will probably not invest in the number 14 marketplace for, food for dogs, okay? But if there was no such a thing in the world, and a company comes and say, we're gonna do the first, pet nutrition company, maybe that's a category that was not supported, and we would need to support it in the future. This is a very simple and maybe not very representative example, but if you look at our portfolio, for example, we have a company in the area of direct-to-consumer furniture named Tilco that is definitely a category leader in the world. They're the first one that have actually turned direct-to-consumer furniture to an exquisite level of customization. And so this is something, that is good. So when you're looking at what you have in your company, these are the 5 elements that we normally look for in order to proceed ahead, go ahead and have the, investment approved and moving forward. So I'll continue. I'm assuming you will have lots of questions, but we can deal with them. So when you, what's the pitch to an investor? So what's in it? What is that you need to have? First of all, you set the flow, you set the pace, and you set the content. Please don't overwhelm me with words, and definitely don't read the slides, okay? So maximize the graphics and the images that captivate the imagination of a VC. Make sure that if you put a slide, there is a conclusion. So don't, run me through 7 slides about the technical mechanism for doing something, which by the second slide, I already forgot what was at the beginning of the first one. So have a slide, capture the concept, and have a conclusion. Never forget the grand vision. Make sure it's there. Talk about the team. Talk about what problem you're solving, why people are buying it. You have to talk about alternatives, about competition. Make sure you convince us you have an execution plan. Show us a long-term product and technology. Show us the numbers, the P&L, and then some details. What is the capitalization table? Who's owner of the company? What is your history? Who are your past investors? And now what you are looking for and what is your use of proceeds. As a guideline, if you follow this flow, you have a good guideline on how to move forward. But again, it's not the only way of doing it. If you believe you have a better way of presenting your message, then please go ahead. This is not, this is not a gospel from the Bible. Okay. Okay. All right. So what will grab my attention as a VC? You have to have the 5 T's, but we're looking for a CEO to present. The CEO is the leader, is the general, he's the one in front of the troops. This is the presentation we are looking for, and energy, knowledge, and leadership. Then we look at the team. It has to be balanced and have to be reinforcing or converging well on what the, supporting the message that the CEO presented. So even if the team does not physically present, their knowledge, their experience, the tasks that they do need to be part of the supportive message. Then the team needs to be fully committed. There is no such a thing that a founder that has 3 projects and he does, part-time this and part-time that. That's not commitment. That's not really skin in the game. Make sure that we come out of the presentation with a feeling that, these guys are the only ones on Earth that can actually accomplish this task. If you did that, you've done it. I mean, this is uniqueness to the utmost extent. Talk about your successes. Talk about your failures. Talk about global connections and networking. This is a very tricky thing, especially in our region, because most companies, or many companies, I would say, are not yet fully, I would say, have not reached full adulthood in terms of building an international business. So talking about global connections and networking is great. You can also talk about you need in terms of global connections, because we as a VC can help here a lot. We can perhaps bring to the board people that have been there and done that. Maybe we can bring partners, customers, things like that. Okay. Make sure that competition is addressed properly. So you really, really know what your competitors are doing. And it's not that you just Google them up 10 minutes before the meeting and kind of tell me something about them, which is not really deep enough. Make sure you really know what your competition is doing. What are your strong points? What are your weaker points? Where you can win, where you are going to be struggling, etc. We already talked about traction. And when we talk about numbers, you present numbers. The numbers are not all that important. What is important are the assumption behind those numbers, driving your logic, driving your logical kind of flow of the part. Okay, so this is the good stuff. So what we're going to be looking that where do you know that you're not doing a good job? If you're not presenting a good focus, like you're talking about one company and 3 projects, everyone in a different vertical, we're going to get so confused and the company is not going to be actually successful because it has to be focused. Then inconsistency, like, make sure that the flow goes well and there is a good thought process behind it. Don't overwhelm me with name droppings about people that you met in the, on the gym that work for Microsoft and you think are going to be your partners and things like that. Don't just do hot air or just make up assumptions about your value proposition. And of course, you have to do follow-ups. So after the meeting, you have to we do follow-up, see where we are, see if we what we did understand, what needs to be clarified, what may work, what may not work, things like that. So this is the things that you need to improve. So my summary is that times are good to raise money. There is a lot of money in the region in Central and Eastern Europe for technology startups. Make sure you can actually be categorized or cataloged as a category defining in some vertical in the world. This is going to be great. Make sure you have you can execute. You have a good operations, the good vision, and together we can create a global success. So this is basically my presentation to you. Again, you can get those slides if you want from the organizers, and I am actually open for questions if you have. Don't be shy. Hello, you guys are still there? I'm going to go on mute, so I'll let you guys speak.
Hello, I have a question. I'm Kinga Tamás from Phonic Chat. It's a Hungarian company. We are dealing with a social music making platform right now, and we are experimenting with VR technologies in music listening. And would you give us some concrete examples of your VC, like who do you invest in, and what was the trigger why you chose those companies, like specific examples from your portfolio that give us a hint about how you operate?
Okay, yes, I can answer that. Let me give you an example of a company in the area of medical devices, for example. Okay, there is a company that built a digital stethoscope. Okay, there are in the world maybe 100 companies building digital stethoscopes, and some are better than others. We don't even have a way of telling which one is the best, but there are many of those. So why did we pick this particular company out of Poznan that has this digital stethoscope? There are two reasons or three reasons. We looked at the 5 T's, but specifically what stood out first of all, the team is an execution machine. This team can really build, they have track record in the past. They've been working together in previous, previous projects, and they worked very, very well together. The two technological reasons that actually motivated our investing in this company are, first, we saw that the team has the best sound technology compared to what we knew or what we know. So they can actually detect the sounds from the heart or from the lungs much, much better than anybody else can with the conventional microphones. And this is done by patented and well-developed, many years of experience in algorithms for doing sound processing. So this is one thing. The second thing is the fact that this particular company, before they actually started putting together the project, they actually conducted numerous studies with actual doctors as to how is the experience of a doctor using a stethoscope. And this experience has not changed in over 200 years, okay? So stethoscopes are being made by Littmann and others for many, many, many years. And so they found out that there is a very wide variation of doctors hear the same sound, come to different conclusions. And this is actually quite troublesome, because if I have a boy, a girl, or a kid that I think has some disease, and I come to a doctor, and what is using traditional methods, the doctor can actually miss the diagnosis. And And by using algorithmic diagnostic, we can help the doctor. Of course, the doctor is always the authority, but the doctor can actually get some help on what he's really hearing there. And by the way, they had a little trick also that they, you know, older or more experienced doctors have a little bit of trouble dealing with technology. I don't want to generalize. This is probably not everybody, but there is a large percentage that are not quite, I would say, comfortable dealing with technology. So we made the perfect sound of the, you know, of the auscultation to actually sound like an old stethoscope. So they were familiar with the old analog sound, but we still gave them the details and the precise. So actually, doctors loved it. To, you know, to people's I would say surprise. So and what they did by going to the doctors is they amassed a massive amount of data coming from actual people that got got their lungs or their heart listened to, and the training algorithm was so good that they were like terabytes and terabytes of data in terms of analyzing actual behaviors that were all obtained by license, by permission and legally and everything, that allowed the company to jump and leapfrog most, if not all, of the competitors in the world in terms of the quality of the algorithms. So this is why we went into this. I can give you, 10 more examples, but I hope this one illustrates the point.
Thanks. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
I have a question.
Sure.
Hi, Daniel.
Hi.
I'm Tomasz from Alternative. And I actually, I forget the name now, but on your slide you mentioned trackability, I guess.
You mean traction? Customer traction? Traction, yes.
Traction. And yes. So in case that the company does not have fully developed product yet, so doesn't have a customers. Mm-hmm. This is our case. And well, I know that the kind of bottom-up market valuation approach is appreciated. However, it's not always possible. Now my question is, in terms of data, what is the data regarding the target markets that is valuable for you and convincing? Is it, for instance, the compound annual growth rate for a particular market? Because what I mean is that if I find it very difficult to estimate the market size for our solution. What we do is a kind of a cryptographic processor, and it can be implemented, but it's a licensed fee, and the license is often per project, let's say. So we can, even if we knew, which is very difficult for a lot of markets, it's very difficult to estimate, for instance, the number of devices. So if I want to check what is the routers, let's say, the internet routers market size, I can find a lot of data regarding the market size in millions or billions of dollars, but I can't find the number of devices. And it makes it very difficult for me to estimate how much I can earn by selling to this market. Okay,
let me try and answer this. It's definitely very difficult to predict, especially the future. So you cannot, I cannot expect you to come with, okay, I'm going to sell 352,000 devices in year one, and then move to 794,432 devices. I mean, you cannot do that, okay? Even your order of magnitude may be completely off, basically, okay? So what we are really interested is, okay, let's divide the answer into two. First, we are interested in how much you have done your research about the market. The numbers in itself are more like an indication on how much you have actually analyzed the market. And what does that mean? It means that, of course, you need to start with a market that is in the billions and all that. We all know that, okay? But then you need to go down to what is your accessible market. what specifically within those billion, let's say you go for a cryptographic processors for, I don't know, for mining Ether, Ethereum or something. Maybe I'm not sure this is what you're doing, but that's just as an example, okay? And then what are the, of all the people that could be mining, which are the ones or which are the companies that you realistically have the ability to access, okay, through your marketing means, like partners, or, if it's something that you ship, you have a factory and ship direct, or if it's a software license, you go through some mechanisms. So the assumptions on your plan are more important than the plan itself, okay? Okay, so again, we are going to be looking, you would be looking at how big the market is. We are going to be looking at how deep of an analysis has your team done, okay? And what were your, and if you don't have some abilities, how did you manage to solve the problem, okay? Because you're going to be solving very difficult problems down the road. And if you cannot solve the problem on estimating a market size for the future, or not estimating, but justifying your assumptions, then you probably need to get better logic in your thinking, okay? So we're going to be analyzing what process you went through and how you distilled from this sea of, incoherent numbers, something that makes sense and is presentable. So this is basically your challenge. So we're going to be looking for, the numbers itself don't really matter that much. What matters is how you reach them and what was the process and how did you were able to distinguish the, find the needle in the hay, distinguish the signal from the noise. Okay, this is the most important part. So this would be my guidance for you.
Thanks.
Hope this is helpful and not too much cliche.
It is. Thank you.
Hello, Christina here.
Hi.
Hello, I have a question which is quite close to the previous one, but is related to the finances. If the project is really somewhere at the beginning and those finances are either, well, I cannot say that not clear enough, but cannot be calculated as exactly as I would like to, and present them as much exactly as I would like to. So how should it be presented within the pitch at that moment?
Okay, my guidance would be, if you are at a stage where the numbers are not really solid yet, and you're basically guessing some of them, okay, or making some assumptions, it's the same thing, exactly the same thing. I would, first of all, I would tell you not to rely too much on the numbers. So the numbers will not be the, I would say, the mover and shaker of the presentation. You can have them in the backup in case we ask, but let's assume you can talk more qualitatively rather than quantitatively. Like say, okay, the types of customers that we're going to be reaching is banks that need, I don't know, banks that need cybersecurity for intrusion detection in their fraud department. I'm just making this up, okay? Sure. And then you go down that path and say how many of these banks are available, and you can say there are 100 in one city, maybe 15,000 in a country, maybe all of Europe has such and such. So that's how you build a proposition, and it's going to be less precise and more like a range. Okay.
Okay.
But so this is the way I would do it. And again, when you show me a P&L, a profit and loss of the company, the two questions, the number one question I would ask is, of course, I'm going to look at your costs and see how do you, because your costs will reflect the philosophy of running the company. Would you hire many people to do one thing? Would you do automation? Would you hire tools? Would you go geographically to other areas? Do you need a sales team? Why do you need a sales team in China if your product is completely selling itself and automated? Okay, maybe you don't need that. And if you put it there, there's something incoherent. So look at these kind of things, okay? But the most important thing would be, if the top number in the P&L is very low, it means your team is not very greedy. So you're not really shooting for the moon. So why should we waste our time investing in you? Okay. So sometimes people are very, very conservative and they put like a plan that they think they can execute, like, under commit and over deliver is probably not a good idea. Okay. In this stage. Again, if you're running your finance versus the banks, yes, be very careful on how you do it. But when you're presenting your vision, low numbers and big visions never go together well, okay? So one question I would ask you is, okay, you're raising $500,000 to reach 3 million in revenue in 3 years. But what if I give you $5 million now? Can you be 25 million in 3 years? That's that's the question you need to ask yourself when you're dealing with numbers.
Okay, thank you. That was a great advice. Thank you.
Thanks.
Guys, you have an opportunity here to speak with someone that actually has money and invest in startups. This is your chance to even try and pitch in preparation for next week. Daniel can tell you if you're doing well or not.
Yeah. Yeah, this is your opportunity to stand up and say something. Other questions or thoughts or anything that not make sense?
I might have a question. Sorry, I'll just start my video. So somewhere I've read or heard that what investors are also looking for is the integrity of the main person who's presenting. So yes, the knowledge, yes, the passion, but integrity is probably number one, that they can trust the person with their own money. So would you have any example on how to actually prove integrity of a person in the first 15 seconds?
Okay, it's a difficult one because you cannot do it. But okay, it's let me give you first of all how we did this we do this in Israel. Okay, and then I'll go to CEE because it's quite different in Israel because everybody knows everybody, and so we give a quick call to the guys, the girls commander in the army. And after 10 minutes, I know everything there is to know about this person. He was reliable, he didn't do, he was kind of defaulting on his task, or he was the first one to wake up in the morning and do things and doing well. In CE, we don't have that luxury. So we have to use other means, okay? And the other means are, of course, we do a lot of reference calls. It's not during the presentation, it's reference calls. And in some cases, we even go one step further and we do like a teamwork exercise, like a full day, where we get the founders team to, go build a tent in the middle of the mountain or something like that under some very difficult conditions or something, see how they handle it, okay? So, and actually watch them and see there are agencies that are very good at doing these things. And we were never, actually, we never had a wrong turn in this area. So it worked very, very well. But normal case is just references. I understand that in the region, people are a little bit, I would say, reserved when saying bad things about others, okay? So they will give you the rosy picture very quickly and not the other. So we need to be learn how to read between the lines and see what's missing. And we became pretty good about it. So we can actually do it. We can actually do it. And yes, you're right. The integrity, it's integrity, but it also is, I would say, the cultural environment, how you get things done. Okay, because we expect that if let's say we're looking at the vice president of sales or the business development person, okay, and there is a situation where he got no as an answer from a customer. Well, so what does he do? He will get thrown out of the door. We expect this person to get through the window or get through the roof like Papa Noel or something, do something creative, right? So how does he do that? What means he or she uses to get that done? Does he use connections? They use, what stories he tells. Are the stories reliable? Are they standing water at the end of the day? So this is the kind of things that we are very, very careful in taking a look at. Okay, yeah, definitely. Actually, if anything we have to say about the region is that founder teams tend to be, on the other end, tend to be too much over conservative. And the same pitch given by a Silicon Valley or an Israeli presentation would show amazing hockey sticks getting to billions of dollars, and people in the region will be more down to earth and conservative. We kind of like it. I mean, it's more related to reality, but if anything, they need to spice up their promises a little, and jack up their proposals, their offers. But yes, the area, this is a very important area, of course. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, if no one has another question, I would have another one.
Sure.
Okay, so basically, you mentioned that the potential investors might be interested in knowing how the startup was financed so far. So what numbers are we talking? Would they find it sort of offensive if a startup that so far invested only 15K already approached investors? Like, do you have to be sort of above 50K bracket so they see that you have invested enough? Or can anyone from the street come and say, I've done it on my knees on zero budget, and I'm asking for money?
I mean, everything is an indicator. So everything is an indicator. So there is no low barrier, there is no high barrier. Either, you could also have asked if on the other end, a company had already self-financed $3 million from their own money, is it, the right company? Yes, it can be the right company. Absolutely. In fact, we have invested in such companies. We have also invested in companies that came out of nothing with a PowerPoint presentation, 2 people and a dog. So, so definitely, that's definitely perfectly legal. So the most important thing to realize is that everything you say and do is an indicator of your way of doing business. Okay. So if someone comes to me and says, we've reached $1 million, annual recurrent revenue with zero marketing, then there is something we need to look at. What have they invented? It's so good, or maybe their numbers are wrong, or he's over positioning it, or maybe and the other thing is, what a waste. If without marketing you go to this number, you could have spent 20,000 in marketing and you already be a unicorn. You're wasting your time. So it could go either way. Okay. We need to just treat the case and see what the real thing is, and don't be too cynical. We're not going to be cynical. We're going to be just analyzing the proper case, and everybody has their own style and they have their own methodology, and we wouldn't. I mean, it's their company. It's not our company, so they need to run it the way they feel comfortable with. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right. Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Hello, Daniel. If I may, I'm Maria. I'm from 3APK from Slovakia, and we develop blockchain-based solutions, mainly for aerospace industry. And my question is...
For which industry? Sorry, for which industry?
Aerospace industry.
Oh, aerospace. Okay, yeah.
And my question is, to what extent do you consider working in various verticals as a good thing, and since when it's considered as a lack of focus?
Okay, it's a tough question to answer generically. Normally, you would. I mean, where does focus help, and where does it limit your your future. Okay. It's important to understand at which stage you are, because at the beginning of the company, maybe you do not need to be too focused because you're experimenting. Let's say your solution works in e-commerce and may not work in enterprise, I don't know what, enterprise automation or transformation. Maybe it will work in natural language processing for documents and may not work for signatures. So you need to experiment a little and do it. At a certain point in time, you need to put a stake in the ground. And you need to say, okay, we know what's going on. Here's what we think. This company is going to be focusing on the, I don't know, autonomous vehicles, and and this is the area where we're going to be quicker to market with the best solution and better than competition for the following reasons. And yes, we could actually use this product for these other 10 possible verticals or markets segments, but they're not as attractive to us or not quite as attractive to us because of the following reasons. So now at a certain point in time, you say, okay, this is it. This is what we're going to do. And this is what normally VCs would like to hear because it's the company that's at a level of maturity that the focus is already ingrained. Now, having said that, most successful companies pivot 2 or 3 times. So yes, you focus on one market, but 2 years later, you find out that your real market has shifted or is in a different area. And there is nothing wrong with making this pivot. Of course, they cost money, they cost aggravation and market and management, and maybe people don't like it. And there's a big deal about it. But the most successful companies in the world have pivot. If you look at companies like, Waze, that was acquired for almost $1 billion by Google, they pivoted 4 times in between the founding time and the time that Google acquired the company, several years later. So, yes, you focus, you present a focus message, you focus your resources because you cannot do everything. But at a certain point in time, you always need to look aside and see maybe is your focus right? And that's perfectly legal. But you don't do this twice a week, right? You do this on occasion. Yeah.
Sure. Thank you very much. Very helpful.
Mm-hmm. Also, about focus, one bummer, one completely no-no is we meet a company and the company tells us, oh, we are building this product for the games industry because this is blah, 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 the best. And oh, by the way, we also have a project going for banking because we think banks will also use. So the resources you will have as a startup for doing one are not compatible with the one to doing the other. You will need to duplicate everything, not economical. You don't have the management experience. And sometimes it comes as after we spoke for about half an hour about games, then before we move to another subject, say, oh, by the way, we are also selling in enterprise. Okay, oh my God, he just blew up. He blew up everything, Anybody else?
Yeah, just to follow up on a previous question. So perhaps I misunderstood, but does that mean that targeting many different markets is not a good thing?
It could not. Okay, this is the question, right? Yeah. There are occasions where it could be, sometimes you have a horizontal play, something that fits many markets, and you're not going to be dedicating resources and plan to go after one after another in turn. I can guarantee you that as a startup, you will not have resources to go after this market and that market and that market separately. Okay, if your product is horizontal and addresses in one shot several segments, then you're focusing. You're fine. You're perfectly focusing. The moment you're defocusing is when you have to make decisions every morning. Do we support this or we support the other thing? Do we, does it come one at the expense of the other? If it passes, it's your own test. If it passes that test, then you're perfectly focused and it should be okay. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, more questions?
Well, Daniel, I would like to know more about the traction that you mentioned, that it's not only about the revenue numbers, but I guess that the network behind it counts, and what else counts to be a potentially good traction or a considerable traction for a VC.
Yeah, okay. We're ultimately looking at the company. You're solving a valuable problem for someone that is significant and would pay for it. Okay, this is the question we are trying to give an answer. Okay, now we can give the answer through many methods or many ways. Okay, one is, okay, show me that you're already selling to them. That's easy. Okay, you see, I'm selling, $25,000 MRR, and it's growing, and the customers, they are all yellow, and they wear hats, and I know how to reach them, and everything is fine. But if you don't have that, you're earlier than that, then you need to convince yourself and us that there is a good market segment that will be willing to adopt a solution, that it has a genuine problem with current alternatives, and you're bringing something to the party that was not there before. Okay, and normally that's something I would be very surprised it has to do with price. It has to do mostly with capabilities, with features, with benefits, mostly with benefits. So what we will do, okay, so you present your case, and then we look at it and say, okay, what is your typical customer? Our typical customer is I don't know, boys and girls age 30 to 40 that don't want to create a bank account and want to do 99% of their financial transactions on their phones. Okay, all right, so we go there and we start inquiring who these people are. We all know people in that category, right? We can ask them, we can go to them. Okay, maybe the target customer is not that, but I don't know, medium to large grocery stores that are looking for an automation of payments or something, okay? Or they want to get on Amazon shop or Allegro or whatever shop, and they don't have the ability to do so by themselves, and they are looking for a technology that can get them down. So we will go and talk to these people. It will be much better if the company can already present those references. Say, we've talked to 10 of those. Here is our list. Pick 2 or 3 of them that you like, and we will make an introduction. So we would interview these people and say, why did you, of all the cost companies in the world, why did you, start piloting maybe or alpha testing or beta testing this product? Okay, once you do, if it's success, what will happen? How many will you build? What are your alternatives in buying this? One may be doing nothing. If you do nothing, what happens? If you buy it, what happens? Is there any competitor that offers 30% of the functionality? And maybe it's good enough for you for the first 2 years, and then you'll move from there. We will ask those questions and reach a conclusion. Yes, this product has potential traction or does not have potential traction. And now we expect the company to do this all the time by themselves. Okay, so this shouldn't be a difference in terms of the modus operandi of the company, because the most important thing in terms of marketing is product market fit. So this is basically answering this particular question. And we will add some numbers at the end. Okay, there is market fit, there is an issue here, there is a gap or a problem. The solution is workable, is something that can be used, and here's how much these people would pay for it on a recurrent or constant basis, so we can actually substantiate the numbers or the perception of the company. Mm-hmm.
Thanks.
Sure.
Daniel, hi.
Hi.
My name is Dominika. I'm working for the Embassy of Israel in Bratislava. So I rather kept the space for our participants. But since we're coming close and we're really getting close to the demo day, we talked about different things of how to do things, how to present, how to do the pitch. But what interests me, since we will have a country session soon, and I will also evaluate some of the startups, what are the don'ts that some unexperienced startup usually do? We mentioned some, I'm aware, but what is something that also you personally take as no gain and this is the moment when you stop listening? Maybe it's important to mention something like that so the startups really, avoid it by big circle. Thanks.
And you refer to the demo day, to actually demonstration?
Actually, yes, that would be helpful.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I have a PhD on demos, so yes, I have a lot of experience in this area.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Okay. A demo needs to be, the first thing it needs to be talking about one aspect, do it very well and do it very quick. Because if I'm listening to a demo, after like 40 seconds, I have to say that I have advanced and acute ADHD, but most VCs do as well. Okay, so I lose the context very quickly. So now I found out that one very good method of staying attentive is to run the demo myself. Like they would say, okay, take your mouse and do it. I mean, it's difficult to do from remote, but if I am on the spot, I would insist on doing it myself. Like, allow me to run the commands. You tell me what to do and I'll do it. If I am concentrated on doing it, I will be more, I would say, prone to paying attention and remembering what's happening. Okay. So the demo has to deal with the mainstream, not with extreme, unusual cases, very difficult to remember and all that. So it has to say one thing very well. And I would say that the actual time that you have with one person is less than a minute. I cannot tell you psychologically if it's 20 seconds or 40 seconds. I don't really know, but it's really very, very short time because people lose attention very quickly. And now this is one thing. The second thing is people will ask questions. It's like, can I do this? Can I do that? Can I do this? This on one hand is a sign of interest, which is good. On the other hand, has a tremendous, I would say, destructive potential because it may take the demo in a direction that you don't want it to take. Like, you don't want to talk about this because maybe it doesn't work yet. Maybe you're not really the best in this area. Maybe many things can happen. So it's important that the person running the demo knows how to funnel and channel it always to the best possible demonstration, actually. So what is it that I want after a demo? See that the people actually exemplify what it does and how it does it very quickly. So if you do that, so you should trim it down as much as possible, rather than giving one more example and one more example and one more example. Trim it down as much as possible. If possible, one example and do it well. Maybe two is okay as well. So this is what I would say. Now, if it's remote, it's much more difficult to do because you cannot see the white in the eye of the person too much. And you don't know whether this person is just reading his mail on the side or really paying attention to it. So you don't really know. So it's difficult. I mean, it's another challenge, but hey, here we are,
the best. We have to be adaptable.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm. All right. Thank you. I think it's very helpful. It was very useful. We have to focus.
Yep.
Thanks.
All right. Again, if you have any other question, don't hesitate. You have my mail through the organizers. I'll be happy to entertain answers. If you need something, I'll be happy to help you. Mm-hmm.
I will just mention that Daniel is one of the judges on our demo day next week on behalf of his VC. But I would really suggest, I saw that a few of you were brave enough to ask, but no one tried to pitch. Who's brave enough to give us a 3-minute speech? No one, really?
Guys, take it as an opportunity. It's really important.
Yeah.
You can see Daniel on your side.
Yeah, go for it.
The thing is that we are all preparing for Wednesday, I guess, or Thursday it is. So I think that's not brave enough for today.
No problem, no problem.
But maybe, do you guys have some troubles with a pitch? Something that you are not sure about? Maybe Daniel can help you, target you, find a way that would be attractive for the VCs.
I will ask one more question. Generally, if we speak about pitches, demos, or anything like that, of course, everyone prepares some sort of presentation speech in advance. Yeah. Normally, it is, or there is a general advice that if you visualize your project, it should be, or it is better to do it in one pager and to use more visual material in that presentation. Is this really true, or is it still better if the person describes his points in words? What's your experience with this visualizing?
Actually, my personal experience is that I relate more to improvised, ad hoc things rather than, a whole set of bullets that I, may never remember again. Okay. In some cases, it's important because you say, okay, our capacities are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You have to do that. But graphs are much, much easier to remember. They stick longer in memory. Graphics, I'm saying graphics, harder to remember. I actually don't like videos. Many people do like them very much. I don't know why. I mean, I kind of lose attention very quickly within a video, especially if the presentation skills are not very good and I don't get, the best actor from Hollywood there. Too much and I already lost what he's trying to say. I mean, again, so videos work a little bit, it's a kind of a double-edged sword. If you have a video that actually exemplifies a process, like with animation and things, that could be very good. On the other hand, I do want the CEO of the company to be on the video and give me a 10-second what's happening. So I do want that. But graphics on a visuals on a PowerPoint. PowerPoint is the worst invention since mankind. I mean, it's bad, but I normally would ask the company to present their story without telling them how to do that. Okay, so and either way is okay. Most people find it more easy to follow like a CAN presentation because they don't have to think in the middle and not lose any message or something like that. But if it gets too elaborate and too process oriented, then it's not good. It's not doing good. So I like to see this, I like to learn the story. What is the story behind it? And I will interrupt it all the time. So I will ask questions because I will forget the questions at the end. So I'll ask them throughout the process. So
basically, from what you're saying, it is not that important, at least for you, to have any visual kind or any presentation or anything, but the person himself or herself making the story.
Yeah, exactly. Actually, the person is the story.
Yes,
the person
yes, that's what I meant.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, visuals, don't take me wrong. Visuals do help, especially because these are more likely to stick in memory than words. So, after a week or 2 weeks, say, this is the guy that do this architecture for cybersecurity that has 7 layers, and there was no word about it. I just saw a picture of the cake there, So this is something that tends to stick in memory even after the presentation is forgotten. So there is value there. But again, tell me the story. I don't care how.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Koba. I'm from Poland. And we create SensiVR. That's the product, that's the solution for children with sensory difficulties.
I'm sorry, I wasn't able to follow. There was some on and off. Can you please repeat?
Could you hear me?
What do you do? Yeah.
Okay. We create solution for children which have sensory difficulties, like sensory processing difficulties, the different problem of them senses, like vision, hearing, touching, something like that. So if it's possible, because we already create our pitch deck, so is it possible to take your advice of what we can do better, or what is good or what is worst in this pitch?
Sure, I will be happy. I mean, I will be happy to do that. And what you are talking, like the elevator pitch or some, what are you talking about?
Like the pitch which we prepare already for next week for demo day, but also we have prepared like one pager. So we will be good to take your advice.
Yeah, I'll be happy if you send me the material. I will take some time and go through it. That will be good. Yeah.
Okay, so send you by email. Yes.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay,
definitely.
Thank you so much.
So, and which stage are you? Early stage?
Yes, we're still in early stage. We still made research and development of our solution. So it's from free technology. This is like VR. We connected with web app and biosensors.
Okay.
So this is specific for rehabilitation.
Okay, cool.
Thank you.
I'll take a look, definitely.
Thanks.
Sure. Back to what Tal mentioned, there is a concept in the Israeli landscape named Hutzpah, which means boldness or just moving forward. What we had now, a person comes in and says, "Can you help me? Here's my, can you give me some feedback?" I mean, this is pretty standard and pretty, it could be very valuable. So I encourage you to, do more of that if you can.
How should we approach you then? By email, on LinkedIn, or what's most convenient?
Sure, you have my email, right? You can send me, and I'll, I cannot promise I will spend 12 hours on it, but I'll take a quick read and I will give you some feedback.
I'll show my one page.
Sure.
Sorry, Thomas. I just wanted to say that take your time. Daniel is here with us right now. So he's ready. So Hutzpah is actually be brave in a way. I think for the V4, it's to be brave. For you, it's normal. So just go for it and ask. We have Daniel here for us.
Yep.
Okay, I do have one very peculiar question, and I don't think that many others will relate to that. But since we have some time, I'd like to use it. So, okay, the point is, right now we have two startups that do the same, more or less the same thing. It was due to some restrictions for another projects, like more public funds. So in order to receive it, we had to set up a new startup. And I know that it might sound a bit complicated, but eventually we want to, of course, merge them or somehow transfer the technology from one of them to another one, so that we won't jeopardize ourselves. The thing is, the first startup got some funds, the alternative that I represent here today. But another one is potentially, it should in about 1 or 2 weeks, we will have the final decision for much more of the funds. And I'd rather share the second one while presenting, right? So I'd rather say that we got much more, even though it's not officially this startup that I represent today. The question is, I was still struggling to decide which one is better to say. So I'd rather ask you right now, if because I'm not gonna say that in 3 or 5 minute pitch, I'm not gonna explain what the relationship between two companies are, etc., etc., etc. But if I do some kind of if I take some shortcut and I just say whatever it is for this one, even though it's not entirely true, but I don't want to lie, I just don't want to over-explain it. Then I know anyway it's going to be checked later on, and I can explain it later on why I said that. Is it acceptable for you?
Okay, it is acceptable if you give a little bit of forewarning. Okay, let's say, okay, we have here two companies that are closely related for some reason. Okay, and they will be more related in the future or more close in the future. We had to develop them in separate for financial reasons. And here's how these are complementary and can work together well, and do that. I understand that you need to present one, okay, and not the other. So you have really a tough choice here because you're at the risk of presenting an incomplete solution or an incomplete story, perhaps. Okay, because you talk about one and you need the other to complement it. Perhaps maybe I'm reading too much into it, but it's perfectly okay to do that. But you need to give a little bit of forewarning on what's going to be the upcoming attractions. What's going to be coming later, and where's the vision? Where the roadmap's going to converge, and in which way? Okay.
Sure.
Yeah, and it's okay. I mean, we saw companies that were, for example, were part of a development center. Like there was a development company, a consulting company that built software for others. And in the process, they created their own intellectual property and a pretty nice product. And they wanted funding to make it a company. Now, they came to us in the context of the development company, and it was completely non-investable for us because we're not going to invest in a consulting firm. We need to invest in a product company that has. So what we did is we told them, hey, you are not investable right now, but your product looks quite interesting and your team looks interesting. If there is a way you can just spin it off and have it as a separate entity, and they did, and we guided them through the process, and it worked out. So, the first pitch was not in the final object for investment, but we could see through the maze that where it was leading to and what could be the future. And in that particular case, it worked out well. Okay. It took some time, there were several months in between in order to make the transition and all that, but it was quite legitimate.
Okay, thank you. I'm not sure what's the pitch time. What's going to be? Is it going to be 5 minutes? Because
it's going to be 3 minutes plus 3 minutes of review.
Okay.
So we decided to keep it short, keep it brief, to make each of the judges very attentive, and you guys being attractive, word-wise.
We just still haven't received any information who is going to pitch actually.
Well, that's why I believe you guys have a country meetings, because only the top ones get these demo days. So I believe in your case, Thomas, it's Poland. So that's not really me, but of course I will give some heads up to our colleagues so they can reach out to you. But all the details, so 3 plus 3 minutes, this is all done. We will get it in the email, so we're not overwhelmed, Daniel, with all the...
Yeah, sure. I'm not...
Okay.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay, guys, who else? Who is brave enough? We need to show Israel that we can ask questions. I used all my ladies. I mean, all the women that lead startups and are from Slovakia have already asked questions, and I'm very proud of them. So I'm waiting for other countries to get in. Somebody?
Hey, if you don't have more questions for now, I'll be happy if you can shoot them through email. I'll be glad to, talk about them and provide some, on the spot replies or advice or whatever makes sense.
I've seen that we already have your presentation in Slack, Daniel, so thank you very much. Alexander already posted it.
Sure.
It's uploaded for everybody who missed some slide or wants to get back to it. And yeah, I think we have a few minutes left, so last chance, guys.
Well, seems like I will have time to get my espresso before my next meeting, huh?
Yes, see, you're very considerate. All right, I don't see, well, anything in the chat neither. Do we have your email address and everything?
It's in the presentation. And it's in the pitch and in the presentation, and I believe the organizers have it in the mail. So,
yes, all right, perfect. Just checking with them. Okay.
All right, thank you, guys. Wish you the best of luck, and hopefully we'll be able to help you out a little.
I'm sure it will. It was very useful. Thank you very much, Daniel. Also for myself, I learned a lot. I wasn't here, but I listened from the very beginning. And I think that our startups are really getting ready. And it's also thanks to you. So thank you very much again.
Yep.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Thank you very much.
Daniel.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.